Hey, this is Jake, and you are listening to the Encouragers Podcast Show.
Dude, but everybody's hiring right now.
Dude, that's all. The funny thing is about that, everyone is hiring apparently except for this Sonic down the street from my house. They
Really?
closed it down. It's been closed for like a week because they can't find enough helpers,
Yeah.
like workers. My wife and my son went out there and they saw somebody outside and were like, "Are you guys doing anything about it? Like, are you guys looking to hire anything?" The guys, "Nope, we're not hiring at all." I'm like, "What?" So I
But
guess
are they looking for workers?
no. That's the weird thing is my wife asked. They said no. The guy was outside just cleaning, like pressure washing the drive-through.
Uh-huh.
But they've been closed. They've had a sign on that Sonic forever, not due to not being able to staff.
Yeah.
We have to shut down.
Because I noticed a lot of these fast food places, that's why they're not 24 hours no more.
Oh yeah, that's right. I noticed
Because
that's it.
because they can't find the night staff. So they just
Yeah,
put everybody in the day.
that third
That
shift, bro.
sucks, yeah. So they gotta close that night shift down.
Yeah, everywhere. And then you see the signs now, right? They have these made up, pre-made signs. You see those too? That says, "Hey, please be nice to our staff," because they showed up or something. You see
Oh,
those
bro.
signs out there?
I haven't seen any signs like that.
They're all over here.
Bro, but
They have those signs at every restaurant out here.
you know what signs I do see is like people giving signing bonuses.
Yeah,
I
like
think
who?
who was it? Was it? I think it was Amazon that was giving signing bonuses, and other companies out here, local companies that were giving signing bonuses just to come work. You know,
Uh,
I thought
uh,
it was like a home security company.
And Jake, you're on.
What's up?
right in time. Right in time for 21 questions. No, there's you know who's doing they just actually did that incentive to us here at American. They put out an email saying that if you maintain perfect attendance from November 15th to January 2nd, you can qualify for $1,000 check. So they're doing a lot of okay, let's go, Brandon. I see your shirt. Got the shirt going, Jake. I feel triggered now.
That's why I wore the shirt.
Right on, man.
So would it be like a employees market out there?
Oh, because everyone not wanting to take jobs.
Yeah. Like, could you walk into a job right now?
Let's say
Like,
at a
say
bank.
let's say a McDonald's. Could you walk into a McDonald's right now and just say, "I want $20 an hour"?
Uh, I don't know.
Just because everybody's hurting for workers, can you just walk in there and just say and demand the price that you want?
Probably depends if it's like privately owned, like a franchise, privately owned. You might be able to negotiate that right now.
You know what I mean? Because
Yeah, because
everybody's
there's
hurting for workers.
right there's corporate, there's corporate McDonald's, and then there's privately owned McDonald's where they pay McDonald's, a fee
Yeah.
every year to use their name. So those ones, I imagine you could have some more wiggle room there.
Like I was at Walmart the other day and I was at the electronics section. And then the electronics section at the cashier, they had a sign there that says that they're hiring at $20 an hour
For
at Walmart.
for which part? That that section that you got or that you were at the electronic section?
Yeah, probably the electronics section.
Huh.
But I seen that sign. It said like we're hiring at $20 an hour.
Huh.
So I'm wondering if you can just walk into a place and they say, we can pay you $12. No, I want 20. If they're hurting for people, They can't say
Mm.
no. I don't
Well,
know. That's just my
but
thinking.
they can, but they'll be the first ones on the chopping block later, once everything kind of comes back. So you take that with risk, right? But if you're looking at it short term anyways, that might be the way to go.
Yeah, I could see that.
Mm.
Once everything balances out, you could be the first one to go. But if you do a good job, they might just keep you. Who knows? That's just the thought I was thinking when every time I drive down the street, I just see all these now hiring signs, hiring with a bonus. You see that around in your place, Jake?
I haven't really been looking. If I kept my eyes open, I know. So like the stores that I support the turnover is crazy right now. So I'm essentially dealing with like new reps all the time, because of I mean a lot of people got furloughed at the beginning and then explored other stuff, but people have options right now. So I don't know how long it's going to last, but people are looking for better opportunities. I think a lot of people figured out how to do some stuff on their own too. And so, that freedom to be able to kind of work from home or, get away from the 9 to 5. I think a lot, I just think there's going to be a big portion of people that are no longer in the market to work anymore because they figured something better out.
Yeah, and I think that's what the lockdown did, right?
Right.
They just figured something out that they could do on their own.
Yep.
And I
Absolutely.
think it all comes down to social media because I see a lot of people creating stuff and selling it on Instagram or whatever.
Yeah, it's happening a lot.
Yeah, I've seen that a lot too.
And you're right. The freaking lockdown or whatever it was we had last year, that freaking ignited that fire. People weren't
Right.
relying, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
No fault to our own. We had to figure out a way to survive.
Mm-hmm.
This virus wasn't something that this virus straight came out of the blue. I remember seeing a tweet about it back in January of 2020. Shoot, a year ago, almost 2 years now. I remember seeing someone tweet about it. Who was it? The New York ABC News. They tweeted about there was a breakout infection in China. The first thing that I actually responded to that tweet when I saw it, I was like, "Hey, do we know if we're blocking people from coming to the U.S.?" That was a tweet that I tweeted right back to them when I seen it.
I remember that.
Yeah, and then not only that, but if you think about the events that were going on, we were dealing with the Super Bowl at that time. The Super Bowl was happening around that time that tweet came out. And then a couple weeks later, after the Super Bowl was done, guess what happened? Kobe Bryant passed away. He died in that helicopter crash. Right,
That
that was
was
around
unreal, bro.
March. So all our attention was taken off the news, and while we were like looking at Kobe Bryant's death and all these other events, they came from the side and
Well,
blasted us with all
remember,
this.
you remember Notice like Trump started talking about it at the end of February before like all that stuff happened.
Yeah.
And the opposition, that's when they said they were going to go dance in like Chinatown. I think that was Nancy Pelosi, so because early on he was talking about, potentially this could be serious. And that was like late February.
Mm.
And it's just like
And that's when he
politics.
made that travel ban.
Right. And then they all freaked out, right? So the opposition and Democratic Party, when we just didn't know what it is, he probably had the best information in front of him early on, but you just didn't know. But he was privy, I think, to some of the information of what China was doing, how they were locking down. And so, of course, he probably had the best information. But, when you have the political opposition that we have, where it's like team blue, team red, all of a sudden, no matter what the information is, they're just going to be opposite.
Yeah.
So, of course, never in our best interest. I think that's, I think people figured that out. Like this is that the government does not have our best interest. We're going to have to figure it out on our own, right? Nobody is, thankfully we have a constitution that lets us kind of choose,
Yeah.
for the, we're still hanging on to the current
For
constitution, but you didn't get, how much money did the government send out? Like not enough to survive. People's house payments are like $2,000 or 1,000 to 2. Did you even get that much to survive during a year?
Hell no.
So people realized they don't have your back. You're gonna have to make it happen.
Yeah, they got to do something.
And a lot of people did.
Right.
And we have the jobs exodus and the people just doing their own thing.
That's why none of these companies can find workers.
I mean, during that COVID time, I mean, that's when I was exposed to the card game.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Oh yeah.
Tech and I flying to Texas during COVID.
Dude, that was an unreal weekend, bro.
What is that, Jake?
Hmm.
I need to talk to Bruce and see if he can sponsor us.
Al, you see this? Plug us, bro.
Yeah.
So for those of you listening, Jake is pouring a plastic bag that's labeled Ofas Kava. Seems to be some kava content in there. He's pouring into a strainer, which now he is mixing with his hands to a bowl of water.
Lift it up again, Jake. I'm gonna tag him.
No, the bag.
Get a good picture of it.
Oh yeah.
Tonga, is that what you wanted?
For real. Oh,
Shout
you know
out-
what? Let me.
Shout out to Ofas Kava.
Mm.
Jake's a frequent
Is that what you wanted? Huh? Is that what you wanted?
Jake's a frequent consumer of that product.
That's pretty good cover, right?
Yeah. Yes. Plus, it's like, it's easy, gets shipped out here, comes in a good container. I just shoot him a text, Venmo. You can get it on his website too. So it's just pretty easy to, get some out here where, there's no plug out here in North Carolina that I'm aware of. So that's the best way I can get it.
What's the website for the kava?
I'll have to look it up. We'll throw it in the podcast before the end because I don't know it off the top of my head.
He personally texts the person.
That's direct to consumer, right?
Right.
Yeah, just crazy, man. Craziness. Hope you guys are all doing well despite all this craziness. I just keep.
I think we're ramping up out of it, though, don't you think, Notis? I think we've got some positive momentum, despite what maybe people on the news, if you even watch the news anymore, are telling you. I think we've got positive momentum right now.
Is that what you wanted? What?
I love it, Tonga.
That's hilarious. Yeah, I just recently discovered Rand Paul's grilling of Dr. Fauci on the Senate hearing committee, their little meetings that they have at the Capitol Hill. I just thought that was a eye opener when first of all, I didn't know Rand Paul got down like that. I knew his father, Ron Paul, who I helped when he was running for campaign back in the day. I didn't know Rand Paul got down like that as well, but he was grilling Fauci. You guys see that video? Or the most recent one was like 2 days ago.
Yeah, is that the one you dropped in the chat?
Yeah, or one of them. Yeah.
It seems like Fauci is just trying to, again, just like why a lot of us are tired of watching some of mainstream news is they're just like parsing their words and hiding and not being authentic. Just tell us how it is.
Yeah.
If you guys
were
doing that stuff, authenticity goes a long way with people. I think people would be like, most people are in general forgiving too.
Yeah.
And so if you're like, hey, we effed up, we screwed up, we probably shouldn't have been doing this. We were trying to save humanity from this, not hurt. And, I think people would have, that would already be like under the rug by now. But it's like the doubling down, pretending like the terms mean something else or your definition of the words or something else. We're all tired of that.
Yeah, hopefully everybody's just waking up, starting to see what's really going on.
I think the more you run your own thing, right? Like which a lot of people were forced to do, you realize, the laws that support individuality and less control end up supporting you as a business. Even like down to like tax breaks, and I'm sure Tonga, you've had a lot that deal with that running your own business. And probably you tech to some extent with Coach, just having to deal with that aspect of things, having your individual rights protected, so you can just run your business. So I think people are realizing that, and they'll realize, there are certain, at least right now, who knows if that'll change one side or the other, but there's a certain side that tends to support that more than others. I think you have a lot of people, you look at, did you guys pay attention much to the Virginia elections?
I just heard briefly about it. I heard she was the first, she's like the vice president, right? The black lady that won like some seat or something.
She's governor, right? I think she's governor of Virginia.
Oh, she won the governor.
Yeah, I believe that's the case. Yeah.
Or and lieutenant, was it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, and she was Marine Corps. She was a black woman. Amazing. Just amazing to see. And then the guy that won was the House up for, I believe it was the Virginia House, that a seat that they won. They're just trying to play. That you just see all over, like NBC, for example, even on CNN, where they were just talking about how it's race, and they can't keep Trump's name out of their mind. And then the polls after the election were, the most important thing to the people wasn't race, it was the economy, it was the schools and how their kids are being taught. So it's just like blue or red, that doesn't really matter. And when you start talking and affecting people's kids, and the kids not being able to go to school and rules at school, you have parents unite behind, hey, we want our kids to have a good education.
The best, yeah.
And left or right tends, then you're having it like not really matter, right? You're having parents come together for parents' rights. So you just got to realize, like, at the end of the day, you're talking about families with kids that want the best for their families. So, and another thing, if they would just, if these politicians would just talk to us that way, I think that's how, I forget what the guy's name that won the House seat. It's like Brightfoot or something like that. But in the governor that won, they were talking to people like they're real human beings. That's why they won. So they talked about real issues that affected real people and real families, and they won, and they won big.
Yeah, I think that's what people want, man. They're tired of all this being dragged around.
So yeah, the Republican, his name was Glenn Youngkin. You can see
Youngkin. Yeah, I was Youngkin, way off.
Virginia governor, and then the Virginia lieutenant governor, her name is Winsome Sears.
Yeah.
Sears. And did you guys know that she's actually from Kingston, Jamaica? She was born in Kingston, Jamaica, and migrated to the United States at the age of 6. And look at this. She grew up in the Bronx. She grew up in the Bronx, New York, and she actually served in the United States Marines. So that's a huge victory for the GOP.
And you see, like, there's so much groupthink that, if you come from like the Northeast, which is where I'm from, a lot of people kind of believe and think the same way. So it's interesting. She, her experiences in the military, I don't know if it changed or if she was that way, her whole, or coming from Jamaica and coming to the United States, having the opportunity here. I don't know what age she came, but it's just interesting because, your typical New Yorker wouldn't necessarily think how she thinks. Tech and Notice, you might, I don't know if you guys talk politics much out there when you lived in New York, but did you kind of see how people kind of thought the same, or was there a lot of differences out there?
It was from my experience, I just noticed it was like block from block. Like your block, you know what I mean? whichever block you stayed on, that was the politics you observed.
Yeah. So
Or
almost
whatever.
everybody.
Our block had a yeah.
Go
Our
ahead.
block had a lot of Puerto Ricans on it. So
Hmm.
Boricua, Morena.
Just being
And I-
from like Boston back home, most of my friends that I grew up with, like in high school and stuff, they're all, they're all left leaning. They're all, liberal, thinkers. And so it's just gives like, just it depends on where you live almost like how, a lot of people think. But, there's a lot of science, social science behind that, right? Where it's like where you grow up, you tend to think like others, people like to belong together to a certain, a certain tribe. We're very tribal still, probably kept us surviving, where we were more nomadic as a people. But
yeah.
it doesn't really help us so much when it comes to politics.
Yeah, people, I just want the truth. And that's been this whole thing, is that we haven't had the whole truth this whole time. We've been told one thing and then told another thing and then kept from all these other things as the time has gone. So it's just so people are sick and tired. I'm tired of it, man.
I think a lot of people are. I think people are just ready. Just be straight up.
Yeah. It's
And
not that.
Don't be. I think Jake was right about these government officials trying to tell us how to teach our kids or what to do with our kids. I remember watching a video of one lady saying that we have no rights to our kids or something like that.
We don't have the right to what our kids, we don't right, parents don't have a right to say what the kids are taught. That's
Yeah.
what one of the in the Democratic I think she was in the House, for Virginia, or was
Yeah.
talking about that. She said, yeah, parents don't have a right to say what their kids are taught.
Yeah.
That had to burn a fire into some of those parents.
Yeah, what idiot. Who was that person who said that? That's
I don't know, but I remember seeing that on a video that she was telling like was it a school board or was she a government official?
She was a
Jake?
government official.
And she was telling the parents that they have no rights to their kids, whatever, like they had more rights to what their kids needed than what the parents' rights for their kids. And when I
That's
heard that, I was like, "What the heck?"
that's when you start like that kind of person
It's like,
believes their own BS when it comes out of their mouth. You know what I mean?
mhm.
and
Yeah.
then I don't know. There's a lot of division though, and I think it's coming from this vaccine or whatever.
Yeah. That doesn't help it at all.
Well, and so this is the, I think it's just been long standing, right? Is we as a people are super powerful, especially here in the United States, but everywhere, right? Like if people group together and for a certain message, they're very, very powerful, but they don't want that, right? So uh all these laws, most of the time they're exempt from the laws that they're making for us. And so they think they're above the rest of the people that they're making law, and they need to remember that it's for us, that they're our voice. And if they don't represent that, there's, you can't push especially the American people, you can't push them so far. You'll start to have, that's why you have like vote swings, to begin with, and that's why you have other things happen. But um people don't, they want to be represented, and those that represent us need to remember that.
Yeah. There's you guys ever watched that movie A Bug's Life?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there's a quote in there where one of the ants was saying, like, you let one ant stand up to us and they all might stand up. Those puny little ants outnumber us 100 to 1. And if we ever let them figure that out, there goes our way of life. It's not about food, it's about keeping those ants in line. I
Mm.
think that's what's going on right now. They're trying to keep us in line of what we need to do.
Because they were like, essentially the ants were their slaves, right?
Yeah. this was like the big ants, you know,
Mm.
and I think that's what's going on now. You know, they're trying to keep us in check, like trying to keep that control. You know, I
Yeah.
don't know.
I think you're right there. You know, tech, and they're afraid of. I mean,
If we
you look
stand
at
up,
right. I mean, you look at the insurrection that happened at the Capitol, which wasn't even that much, right? Like it
hmm
was terrible, right? Because you know a couple people ended up passing away, but we didn't really stand up there. That was a minor group of people that stormed the Capitol, which again, not something I support. I don't think that was a good idea. That's not how I would go about it. But you have a minor disagreement with people, and then you still have, you know, there's people, you know, government officials that say they still have PTSD from that, you know, but you know they brought it on by not treating the American people the way they should be treated. So you know, if you we wouldn't be there if they weren't so worried on keeping us divided and bringing us together.
I think it's gonna get worse.
because technically, correct me if I'm wrong, but they work for us.
They
Is
do.
it?
They're supposed to. You know, even though they're exempt, their health insurance is different than ours. They get paid when, you know, they get paid almost all the time. When you know they got paid through the whole pandemic, so they weren't affected by, you know, any pay cuts. You know, during that they didn't take any less pay, which they probably should have, because all the American people, a lot of people lost their jobs. They probably should have cut that and put some more money. You know, cut their salary in half and put some money back in the pockets of the American people. You know, there are so many things they could have done, but they did. You know that they're, you know, for thee but not for me, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's that saying you were saying, Tech? The laws are for thee and not for me.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Shit.
I say that because like all these vaccine mandates, you know, they're forcing these vaccines on us, but in their own house, they're not even enforcing it, you know? Like in the White House, the Pentagon, the CDC, even Pfizer, they're not even
Right,
mandating the vaccine.
right.
For their own
The
employees.
own company that makes the vaccines, they're not enforcing it in their own company, but yet they're trying to force all these other the rest of America to mandate the vaccine. It
And you know, and
doesn't make
anybody that thinks,
sense.
no, because any of us that think for ourselves, we're like, hold on.
Right.
Anybody that just
Yeah.
doesn't automatically believe what they're told, right? You're like, hold on, let me read the instructions here. You know, it's something's not right here. You know, why, you know, what's the reason behind that if they're not
Yeah.
doing it, if the makers
How
of it are,
come if it's your stuff, how come you're not doing it in your house, but you want me to do it at my house?
right?
What why is that? And yet
Yeah.
we can't get an answer.
Suspect.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's suspect to us free thinkers, but there are people out there, hopefully not some of the people that are listening to us right now, but there are people out there that take what the government says and what they're telling us as as word, you know what I mean, as freaking what is it?
Yeah, a scripture
As
essentially.
scripture. Yeah, that there you go. And how like how do people not see this for themselves or question something like this
Right. Well,
is my question.
at the CDC and Pfizer, okay, they know no vaccine has ever been produced and put out in less than 4 years before these ones, right? So they know that, right? So they
Yeah.
know there's no long-term studies on the different age groups. We have some brief studies, which, you know, some of them showed some very promising data, right? And it did benefit. Some, you know, currently now from the data we have, it looks like it benefited a certain amount of people. You know, looks like it didn't benefit other amount of people too. But they're, you know, if they're not doing it and they're the makers of it, you know, we should question why. And then, you know, we should question why are they not responsible if something goes wrong? Like, you know, if, you know, if somebody dies from, you know, from taking this medicine they provided, you know, why aren't they responsible? Why are they owning up behind that? So, you know, and you know, I get that they had to get it fast, right? Because we didn't know early on, right? If COVID was, let's say COVID was 10%, you know, knocked off 10% of the population, that would have been catastrophic. Like, we ended up being less than 1%, I think, from it. So, we got lucky, right? So, the danger could have been much greater than what it was. But, it is interesting that they don't follow suit with, what they're asking the rest of the people to do. And then you're having a mandate go. It makes you question, okay, if they're not doing it, then what's the reason why they want us to do it? Is it money? Is it power? Is it control? What aren't they telling us? It just makes me want to ask those questions.
Absolutely. And it's just trying to wrap my head around all this bull crap, man. Just give us a straight answer, like what we were saying earlier.
Right.
Just be straight up. I think that's what the people want. I think that's exactly why those people won in Virginia, right? It's because those officials that won, they were straight up.
People want authentic. That's what that vote said right there, Virginia.
Everybody's just tired of the BS. Just be straight up. I mean, if natural immunity, if you get COVID and you got over it, if that's stronger than getting the vaccine, let us know.
Right? Why is that so difficult? I don't understand why that's so hard to talk about.
Don't just say it's not. You got to get the vaccine when you know damn well it is. Just be straight up.
That Israeli study, the Ohio study, there's some good data out there supporting that natural immunity may even be for life. We won't know that until we get enough, they're going to have to do more studies on that, but it's showing longevity of and if you got vaccinated and you got sick, and you didn't have any side effects from the vaccine, and then you got sick and you were okay after, you're going to be pretty dang strong there too. Natural immunity plus the vaccine
will make it even stronger.
Yeah, if you had no adverse effects, the issue is there's a lot of people that have adverse effects from the vaccine. Yep. But, and that's the thing, is we just don't know, it's a new medicine, right? It's not even technically a vaccine, although they changed the definition in the Webster dictionary to fit it. But, it was an experimental treatment, medical treatment for, a messenger RNA, right? So they coded part of the spike protein. So it's not the whole spike protein. The messenger RNA vaccines coded a part of the very tip of the spike protein, and so your body recognized that one part, and so that's why, like, initially, just from some of the studies showing, you had really high antibodies, but the problem is it didn't stick around, which is why they're having to do the booster shots. Is you have a huge spike in antibodies, then a huge drop, where natural immunity kind of like doesn't quite get it. Didn't really provide the higher amount of antibodies, but it stayed constant once it was there. And then through the studies that they have through now, those people, the interesting point is they have the data in front of them, but haven't released it. So the CDC, that's what Rand Paul was talking about when he was grilling Fauci, is they have the data, right? They have the data in front of them, but they haven't they haven't released the information.
Yeah.
So what you're saying is that if you get the vaccine to survive or not survive, but if you can make it through all the adverse, what do you call it?
Like any of the side effects?
Any of this. So if you get the vaccine and go through the side effects and make it through the side effects and get COVID, and
you're probably going to be the strongest.
Through COVID, you'll probably be
because what it gave, a lot of it's timing though, right? Like when you got the vaccine, then when you got sick. But the reason why that helps is let's say, COVID was serious enough that you were going to get hospitalized, right? But you didn't get hospitalized because the vaccine helped you avoid that. So that's why there is still some benefit from it. Although, we're seeing, fully vaccinated people die, like in the UK. Here's the Israeli. So let's stick on the Israeli one for now. But, this one right here, just showing how powerful natural immunity is, right? So that's something that they're not talking about, because I don't know all the answers, but what this tells me is, if this is the case, I'll give you an example. I got sick in last January and recovered before I had availability to the vaccine. So it's showing that I have natural immunity. Why would I want a vaccine at this point? Like, this doesn't make sense. There's no information out there that tells me why, based on this data right here, right? That I'm 13 times more effective. Why would I get the vaccine after that? Where the vaccine does have potential side effects like myocarditis, which means fluid in your heart. There's people that got just fluid in their body. Some people, why would I go through that if I have 13 times more effective antibodies? So this is what I want to hear somebody talk about, right? Like, I want somebody high up to talk about this. I know Rand Paul is talking about this, so that's good, right? But he's trying to get Fauci to talk about it, and they won't bite on it.
Yeah,
But
they want to keep running with that narrative, like this doesn't even work, or this doesn't exist.
which frustrates me, because give me an answer, or make me exempt from having to get the vaccine. Maybe say something like that. That would go a long way with so many people if they just would level set with us. And they probably would get more people to be vaccinated at the end if they would just level set, because the highest risk people now are people that haven't been exposed to COVID yet, right?
Yeah.
So if you have no antibodies, you're at the highest risk of this. Now, what we can hope for is that it'll continue to mutate to the point where it's not deadly. So even if you get exposed, all the COVID that's left is not deadly to people anymore. That would be the hope, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. You guys see this? Just a few days ago.
Yeah.
Is the audio really quiet on your end?
Yeah.
I think basically you can do a synopsis, because I can't hear the audio, Notice. But what he was grilling him is, they were talking about, the definition of gain of function, and Fauci continuing to say that they didn't do gain of function. That his definition of gain of function isn't what Senator Rand Paul's definition of it is. So they have their own definition for gain of function, which means basically, what we want them to admit is that in Wuhan, they were funding research, that they were combining, making known viruses more deadly to humans. That's the general definition of gain of function. And Fauci is saying, well, that's not gain of function. So that's, they're still parsing behind the words there. Well, and, we know in that lab, they were working on, bat coronaviruses. It's the coronavirus Wuhan lab is the name of the lab over there. So, we know they were working on them. A lot of the scientists out there are 95% sure it came from that lab. Just level set, just tell us the truth again, but basically they were going back and forth with another one of their, where Fauci is, he kind of actually lashes back at Senator Paul a little bit in this video, and saying that he's, wrong, and he's misportraying the truth. And so, it's just interesting that they're both doubling down on their each side.
Yeah, and the fact that if you look at all the previous encounters with Fauci at the Capitol, he straight denied it. He said, no, that's not gain of function. And then in this video here, he says, yeah, NIH was funding you guys, and you guys were doing gain of function, and the field still refuses it.
The NIH said they were doing it. They were working on dangerous coronaviruses and making them more deadly for humans. That's really what they should say. Is instead of saying gain of function, you should say, hey, were you manipulating coronaviruses with other animal viruses, with bats and I can't remember the other animal they were using, but were you manipulating that to make it to see what it was like when it was more deadly to humans? Dumb it down for everybody. you know, because
Right.
not a lot of us don't, you know, never heard of gain of function before this anyways.
Right.
So, you know, so ask him that, you know, let's get a message that the American people can understand and say, get yes or no on that.
Seriously, man. And the guy just seems so smug. Like
Right.
this short little dude, he probably has the big man syndrome or something. He has some kind of complex.
He's been in power for over 40 years, right?
Oh my
So,
gosh.
you know, I just don't think that is a good thing. You know, when you one of the most powerful people when it comes to, you know, facing deadly disease, it's probably a good idea to, you know, have that position change every few years. I think that's probably a good idea.
Yeah, man. The
Just
guy,
my opinion.
oh. Yeah, this is all are just personal views here, personal opinions, but the guy is just he seems so, I don't know, man. Annoying. Annoying as hell. And the thing is, people don't they won't ever show these Senate hearings and House hearings on the regular news. What right? They're not ever going to show these interactions with Senator Paul grilling Fauci. They're never going to show this stuff. The only way you're
Know,
going
it's
to,
shared on social media, right? So if you're paying attention or if you follow the right people, maybe you'll get a glimpse
yeah,
of it.
hmm
But you know, it also just depends. Like, what kind of person are you? Do you go looking for information? You know, are you trying to hear both sides of the story and then making a better decision, or are you just automatically believing your person?
yeah,
You know, I
It-
like to know. I like to hear both sides before I make a decision because, you know, what if I'm wrong, right? Like, I want to know the information. I want to hear it, and I want to make a good decision. I want to be right. But I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to make the wrong decision. I want to believe the wrong information either. So, you know, that's why I like to hear from both sides. But, you know, it requires effort to, you know, to uncover because we're not just presented with fair information. We've got to go looking for it.
right. And you know what? There are a ton of people who take it, who listen or watch the regular news, and they'll take it for that. They'll take that as scripture. They won't venture out. They won't do anything on their own. They'll just listen to that what they're being told, and they'll take it all in.
Highly
That
recommend if
boggles
you
me.
are, yeah, I highly recommend if someone's listening to this podcast who does that, I highly recommend you expand. You listen to, you know, different people. I'll give you an, you know, example, you know, that you have CNN, which maybe they get like 40,000 views, you know, they're pretty low now when it compares to like listens or views. You know, listen
Yeah,
to somebody that's got a bigger following, somebody that's willing to hear people from both sides. I'll give, you know, an example. Of course, all of us are fans in the podcast world, Joe Rogan, but he
yeah,
has people on both sides come and listen. So I, you know, I urge people, you know, if not him, find other people. But he gets, you know, he gets like 600 million views and
mhm,
listens. So his message goes out to far more people. There's a reason why people listen to him is because he ends up being fair. If your view of him is just from mainstream media, you need to listen. He's got 1,500 podcasts out, 2 to 3 hours, sometimes more. You're going to get to know him much better than somebody on the news.
yeah.
You get to know his guests too and people that he has on.
He's not just the Fear Factor guy anymore. Like he really does.
Or UFC commentator.
Right.
This is what they'll say, controversial UFC commentator, which he can be intense on that, right? He loves fighting and he's all in that, but he is, you know, he is a pretty loving human being, I would say, is the best description of him. Who, you know, has a thirst for knowledge and wants to hear, you know, both sides of every story so you can get it right. You know, he's just
Yeah.
another person that has a thirst for knowledge.
Yeah. There's another guy that I highly recommend if you're listening to this, Sean Stevens,
Right.
SHAWN Stevens. He does a podcast called The Model Health Show. Check him out too. Also, the Food Babe. She's all over Instagram. The food FOOD Babe. She's known as that, but she has um, great information on food. You know, just all the terrible things that the FDA allows into our food. Check her out. Check out Sean Stevens. Also, check out another podcast that I like a lot is the Secret to Success podcast with Eric Thomas and Jamal King. A lot of great things. Like alternative listening, not alternative, but just a different way to think, man. Our whole precipice of this podcast is to think, to level up, think for yourself, to search information. Information is like the new currency. We keep saying that. It really is. So check out those podcasts. Sean Stevens. Wait, let me make sure. Yeah, Sean. SHAWN. Yeah, Sean Stevenson. My bad. Sean Stevenson. You can search him on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, YouTube. He is his YouTube channel is really good. Talks a lot about health stuff. He has an interesting story too, but check him out, Sean Stevenson on Instagram. We follow him on Instagram. We do a lot of repost of his stuff as well. So, but yeah, it's crazy. Please think for yourself. Go out and do some research. Don't just listen to what the narrative is from CNN, MSNBC. Go out and just try to explore and just
I
listen
agree.
and search for things. I don't know.
Let me give you an example. Notice, pull up that I just posted a link in the chat.
Okay.
This is why we question things is it talks about how 1/3 of drugs that are FDA approved end up getting pulled in some fashion due to safety concerns. So, this is why we question, if people say, well, the FDA approved the vaccine. Well, a lot of the stuff they approve have problems with them, right? Because we just don't know. The biology of a human being is very different, and then each person is very different. And so some of the things don't, after they play out, it takes time for us to figure out whether or not there's safety concerns or not. We just don't know, right? Because the process through, we just don't have enough time. They haven't tried enough populations. There's certain races that are affected by certain things that are in drugs more than others. There's certain age groups. There's, for biology, male or female, right? So there's just so many dynamics to it that this is why it's just good to question things, because I'll just, this is just giving an example right here, why it's good to, to do your own research and to question things and just to make sure, that you're fully educated, because a for-profit news organization that is sponsored by Pfizer or sponsored by Moderna is not necessarily going to give you the full information.
Right.
So how do you know where to go to find that full information?
Well, when you were gone, Tech, we were just talking about it, a little bit. It's just we gave some examples of some good podcasters like Joe Rogan and Sean. Who was the one?
Sean Stevenson.
Yeah, Sean Stevenson. So just educate yourselves. Hear from both sides. Don't just listen to one side. Hear the opposite of your opinion. Don't be so triggered that you can't listen to it, right? Because you want to be able to. You want to be right. I think all of us want to be right, but don't be afraid to be wrong. I think a lot of us are afraid to be wrong. Or we're so very passionate. All of us included, right? But I'm more afraid of being wrong, and so I want the right information. So I'm willing to listen to both sides.
Good Morning America is brought to you by Pfizer, CBS Health.
Yeah, I can play this whole clip.
360. Brought to you by Pfizer.
It's on CBS.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Okay, so CNN.
Brought to you by Pfizer. CNN tonight. Brought to
CNN
you
again.
by Pfizer. Early start.
Brought to you by Pfizer.
Friday night on Aaron Burnett out front. Brought to you by Pfizer. This week with George Stephanopoulos is brought to you by Pfizer.
Did they say
ABC.
Stephanotis?
Brought to you by Pfizer. And now CBS Sports
Stephanopoulos, isn't that Greek? Stephanopoulos.
Brought to to you by Pfizer. This
Can you guys hear the audio on that or no?
No.
It's pretty quiet, but I think you're putting it across like CTM, ABC, CNN, CBS, ABC. They're all sponsored by Pfizer. So you're going to get your information from somebody that's paying the news organization. They're sponsored by it. You're going to listen. You're going to think that would they ever say anything bad? So you're going to have to get your information from somewhere else, right? You're going to have to find some other experts, some doctors, biologists, virologists, right? You're going to have to listen to some other people to get the full picture, right? You might get part of the truth. Not saying that they can't have the truth on there, but it's going to be skewed if they're paying that organization, which again, these news organizations are for profit, right? So their most important aspect is to make money, not to tell you what you need to hear.
Yeah. If that doesn't give you an eye opener of what's going on, I don't know what
will.
does. Yeah. And there's people from their board people from Pfizer sit on these companies boards who make the decision what is shown, what is programmed to be on their television network. It's crazy, man. It's madhouse.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Because if Pfizer's going to pay CNN or ABC money, they want to control. They don't want them to talk bad about them, right? Why else would they give them money then? They don't want bad image. So I understand the dynamic there, but the average human being needs to understand that too, right? So you have to just take it with a grain of salt when you're getting information from them.
Right. Man, it's crazy. How about Aaron Rodgers, man? You guys see what's going on with him now?
Yeah, so he went on the Pat McAfee show and just kind of okay. So I watched Skip and Shannon do their debates, and they actually I really like them, but they bothered me because Aaron Rodgers talked about it for about 45 minutes. Apparently he's allergic to some of the ingredients in the mRNA vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
So Moderna and Pfizer. So his medical team advised him not to take that, right? So he got some sort of other treatment for it, which wasn't disclosed, but he got something else, right? And he talked about how he's tested for COVID every day, right? So by the time he goes into a meeting in front of the media, he's tested every day, whereas the vaccinated players are tested once every 2 weeks. So his issue with masking up was that he was tested. He didn't have it at any of those times because he was tested that day. So even though the NFL guidelines were, if you're unvaccinated, then you have to. And so apparently he appealed whatever treatment he ended up getting, because he didn't want the Johnson & Johnson, because at that time the Johnson & Johnson got pulled for safety concerns. If you guys remember that, the Johnson & Johnson vaccine was paused for a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So he was allergic to the two mRNA. Yeah, then the Johnson & Johnson. So he ended up getting, through his own doctors, he got some other treatment. Wasn't approved by the NFL. He appealed the NFL, went through several months of appeals and processes and everything like that, and then ended up getting denied. So this is why there's like outrages. He had some sort of treatment. He couldn't really take, wasn't healthy for him to take those other ones. And so, everybody's outraged that he wasn't masked up, but unvaccinated players, or at least how the NFL views unvaccinated players, are tested daily. They're separated from from their teammates quite a bit too. They can't leave the hotel once they arrive. Like there's pretty strict protocols in place that he has to do, but he was doing all those. And the NFL knew because he had went to them with his medical team and tried to appeal like his process counting as being vaccinated, and they ultimately ended up denying him. So now he's got natural immunity because he recovered from it in like 2 days or 3 days.
Yeah.
But just interesting how like on the Skip and Shannon's show, they're vilifying him. I'm like, and they talked about how he took ivermectin, and they brought up like horse dewormers for animals, and I'm like, you don't even have all the information. You're vilifying him. You guys know how I feel about Aaron Rodgers in general.
Yeah.
But in this case, I support him, and his choice, to do this. Like, it makes sense, even though there was a breach of protocol, but the NFL knew he wasn't wearing a mask and never said anything to him about it. So if they never said anything, that's on them too. Like, I don't know how you could punish him if he wasn't following it, but they knew he wasn't vaccinated because he literally was transparent with them for 2 months on, his concerns with taking the vaccine, with his health and his allergies to some of those ingredients. So, in this case, I fully support him, choosing what's the best for him. I don't think there should be any penalties to the Packers or the NFL, because the NFL knew, if they're doing it, they're simply going to do it for posturing and for vilifying somebody and for being on the woke media side. I will lose respect for the NFL if they end up punishing him for it.
Yeah. Yeah, it's crazy. People are going crazy off of this.
Right. Right. And
Yeah.
he's literally allergic to some of the ingredients in the vaccines. What do
Right.
again, this is why.
How was the
it should
entire
be
run?
between
Do you
and
feel
your
like
doctor.
in the house, the boredom, the loneliness, the potential reading of the reaction of Friday is the part you're dealing with now, or how's the body? You think any lasting terms or lasting effects you feel as of right now?
Well, I hope not. I'm feeling really good. I'm definitely fortunate to have the type of care that I've been able to have. I know it's special and it's helped me get through this better. Also know that it hasn't been like that for everybody. I know this isn't a difficult time for so many people dealing with COVID, and it's been a tough 2 years for a lot of people.
I remember him. I was listening to Joe Rogan the other day. He's saying that he talked to Aaron Rodgers
Yeah.
about that.
And
So
we
this
all
is the
know
second
from
day,
listening and chatting with.
Notice, this is the first day when he came on and talked about it to begin when, like, the news came out, that he tested positive for COVID and that he was unvaccinated. The day before he did, he talked about kind of like what I was, paraphrasing.
Yeah.
This is the second or third day after he did that original post. This is what he talked about, like how he was feeling. But in the original one, he talked about how he spoke with Joe, and Joe gave him some recommendations on what he took, and which was the monoclonal antibodies. Yeah, it was ivermectin. It was I think NAD, just a vitamin blast, right, of different things, and which in a lot of the hospitals, this is how they're treating people with it.
Mhm.
And it worked. He was better, and he's better in like 2 days. So he needs, I think, 2 negative tests to be able to play, to get back on there. But it's like, there's no doubt, of course, these are athletes and they're healthier than, I'd say, the average person. But on top of that, it looks like a lot of these treatments are, who knows, right? We don't have enough studies about ivermectin to know if it truly works yet, but
Yeah.
there's a lot of good science behind, people recovering quick, right? So we have a lot of, I think they use the, anecdotal, right? Like personal experiences. There needs to be, a peer-reviewed, double-blind study that, to be done to really know.
Yeah.
The issue is nobody wants to pay to do that. So, you have new therapeutics coming from Pfizer, Moderna, and or not Moderna. You have it coming from Merck, another pharmaceutical company. So, I just don't think anybody's going to pay to see if that really works. The money that it would cost to actually run the study, because they'd rather people buy the new therapeutics coming. There's more money in that.
Who's that company that makes Roundup? What is that company? You heard
Roundup?
about that? Yeah, you heard about that weed killer and the Roundup? Who makes that? Who is that? Descent or Monsanto? That's it. Do they make a vaccine? I'm surprised they're not coming out with a vaccine with all the stuff that they do. You heard of Monsanto?
I haven't.
They're a company that makes Roundup, the weed killer that you use for your lawn and garden. But I thought for sure they would be in the game of making a vaccine. Monsanto News. This is Monsanto Company, American Agrochemical and Agricultural Biotechnology Corporation, founded in 1901, headquartered in Creve Missouri. Monsanto's best known product is Roundup, a glyphosate-based herbicide developed in the 1970s. So yeah, I thought for sure that Monsanto would be in the business of making vaccines, because they've created all these stuff for weeds, and they're also a company that owns seeds, like the seeds for crops.
Really?
Like corn. Yeah, they have all the patents for crops, like all the crops in America. They have all the farmers in America, they buy Monsanto seeds to for crops, like your potatoes, your peas, your corn. They're the ones that own all the patents of the seeds. Did you guys know that?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah, all these large crops. They're the ones that I don't know how they got a patent on the seeds, but they're a company that owns all the seeds, provisional seeds.
They probably genetically altered them, and at that point, after they alter them, they own, because it's their own genetic design.
Yeah, I think that's what happened. But let's see. Yeah, there it is right here. I'll show you guys. Seeds of for thousands of years, farmers have saved seeds from one farming season to another. But when Monsanto developed genetically modified seeds that would resist its own herbicide, the whatever that word is, glyphosate-based Roundup, it patented the seeds. So yeah, you're right, Jake. They genetically modified these seeds. Now they patent.
And then I think there's either laws, or they paid farmers to destroy their other seeds. So really the genetically altered ones were the only ones left. So they had to get them from them. So they, we genetic now, supposedly, right, they were trying to make them like more resistant against pesticides and bugs, and able to grow with a better, those were supposedly the goals behind the how they were altering these seeds.
Yeah, so they own all these seeds are all around the world, like lettuce, tomatoes, corn, all around the world. Their seeds are the ones that feeding people all around the world. It's crazy, right? So I thought they were into making vaccines for some reason, because they make all this other stuff for our food. But yeah, man, a lot of crazy stuff. A lot of crazy stuff going on. But yeah, anything positive going on that you guys know about? I want
what was
to,
on the agenda? What was on the agenda tonight?
Well, we're going to talk about, just whatever. Cards, update on Tonga's shop. Tonga's stepped out for a minute.
Let's go. Let's talk about the metaverse too.
Oh yeah, so what's going on with
Metaverse.
that? Like, you guys see that? Here, let's.
Like Facebook.
Yeah.
Well, Facebook is late. They're late into this, so they're not. So they're renaming Meta because they really want to like segue into this, right? But so it's already there. So I don't, let's just preface this. This isn't advice for anybody out there. It's not financial advice. I'm not telling anybody to invest anywhere. This is just my own research. But okay, think if you've watched the movie Ready Player One. Have you guys seen that movie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so you know
Wait,
you
just
get it. You get into a suit, you go into a virtual world, right? And you're able to kind of go to all different environments. You know, you can buy food, you can go into a restaurant, you can go exercise, all virtually, right? You can play games. So it's a
mhm.
game world, right? So the metaverse essentially means that, right? So that's that it's really like, you know, a virtual world. Now it's going to be like it's going to be probably the most money is going to be made from the game world metaverse, which is like, you know, virtual reality. You're going to be in there and it's going to be a world within a world, right? So we're on Earth, we're going to be going into you know, this virtual world, but there's also going to be a retail space. So, for example, you know, if you're shopping for a phone, you can, you know, throw on your VR goggles or your suit, and you can literally go, you know, in your car to a physical, you know, store, the phone store, and be able to shop virtually for your phone or shop virtually for your clothes. So that's the other side of it. But there, you know, from just the information I'm diving into, more money is going to be made from the gaming side of things because you're going to be able to advertise. You know, the example I was giving is, you know, let's say, you know, Tonga had an advertisement on a billboard in a virtual world. You know, they'd be able to literally click on that link or like, you know, or however you would click on it in the virtual world, and you'd be able to go straight into a store, right? And you could then shop there based on the advertisement in there. So, so that's virtual gaming world taking you straight into a retail space. So you can see how they're all connected, right?
Yeah, yeah. That's
That's how it
crazy.
works. I never I've heard of it. I've seen it, but I never knew how it was gonna work.
Well, you have so you have like real estate companies and investment firms buying up land because some of these virtual worlds are player owned, not like so essentially the game the game creators don't own the content in it. They allow the you know the users inside to own their own land or their space and create stuff on it. And so you're having a lot of these big companies already buy up virtual real estate. So for example, like in New York City, right? Like if part of this virtual world has New York City in it, um, or if you have like a conference, you know, when people virtually walk out of a building after a conference they have in there or a meeting, you know, these companies are buying up the space outside the, excuse me, outside the building. So, you know, and whoever owns that space, you know, everybody, you know, walking out of that meeting or, you know, whatever conference or concert, they would be able to see whatever advertisement is there. So you could see why they're becoming aggressive in owning virtual, you know, real estate is that, you know, it's another way to advertise to people.
Can I own like regular real estate first before I go to the virtual space though? I mean, for real, man. Jeez,
Yeah.
that's
But I
wild,
wanted to
bro.
talk about it though because it's probably they're talking about it. It's like it's you know the next generation of millionaires are going to be made through
Virtual.
investing in there, right? Because it's early, so you're going to be able to get in cheap on it. I don't necessarily know how to maneuver within it, but it's something that I'm trying to learn about.
Look
But
at
I find
this.
it fascinating.
Look at this thing right here. Look up spiked for the word meta. Lookups on the internet spiked 59,000% on October 28th.
Yeah.
So it's starting to. Facebook CEO Mark Zuckerberg, the cyborg, announced Thursday at his company's Connect event that his new name will be Meta. So these fools are changing the name Facebook to Meta now, right?
Yep. You
That's
know,
crazy.
because he foresees this as the next, you know, I mean, just think about the information they could pull from people too, you know, in there. This is going to be the next way, you know, somebody's got an avatar, you know, you're going to be able to pull personal information from these avatars based on, you know, because people are going to go into these to like meet girls and, you know, just like Ready Player One, right? Like they're, you know, they're going to want to play games, go on dates, like do all sorts. So you know, maybe go into a financial institution. Like there's just so much they're going to be able to pull. So the profit that he, you know, he's got dollar signs in his eyes. He
Let's
also, of course, you know, there are tons of people leaving Facebook, right? So not as many users. So
Yeah.
he's looking to just stay ahead of the curve where, they become obsolete like MySpace. He's not wanting that. So this is part of him just kind of forward thinking.
I want to click on this real quick, see what this video is about. Let me see if. Can you guys hear the audio?
In the future, long
Yeah.
distance won't be so distant.
Imagine a world where we are represented the way we want to be.
There are no closed doors, no walls.
Holy mackerel, unbelievable.
Appreciate the past, but don't be afraid to create the future.
Okay, so the first clip got me because there was two girls kissing. So, and I forgot the rest of the video. So, what the hell did we just watch right there? Was that an example of what's going to happen?
Right. So it's just giving you kind of, I think what we were just talking about, right, is
Just living
the
in
ability to immerse in
reality.
anything. You could go swimming virtually. Really, it's like an open world concept where you can go anywhere virtually.
Look at this.
There's
Oh,
a movie
man.
that has that.
The Matrix.
Or Judge Dredd. Is it Judge Dredd?
That's an older one. The Total Recall, maybe? I don't know.
No, it's. Dang, I'll have to look it up. But everything. Yeah.
The interesting thing is, so all purchases there's currently a couple virtual worlds out there, like Sandlot. There's I can't even remember the names off the top of my head, but there's a couple different like actual virtual worlds. It's all backed by Ethereum, right? So that's why crypto is never going to go away, in my opinion, because it's decentralized currency. So you want decentralized virtual world, where, because like in-game purchases, like let's say somebody buys like clothes in there, right? So they're buying that with tokens from the game, which is backed by Ethereum. So let's say you've got like Sandlot, right? You've got Sandlot virtual world. Or let's give you another example. Let's give Stephanotis virtual world, right? You got Stephanotis tokens. Your Stephanotis tokens are backed by Ethereum. And so that's why a lot of people think Ethereum is actually going to outlast and become more valuable than Bitcoin eventually, because it's the backbone of this metaverse, of these virtual worlds.
Well,
So it's just interesting.
Guess who started Ethereum? Wasn't that the Winklevoss twins?
I don't know. Actually, I don't know.
Mark Zuckerberg's old partners in Facebook.
That'd be funny if it was.
Yeah, no. My cousin, or my informant, Vea, he talked about Ethereum being one of the best cryptocurrencies to invest in because it doubles every time. Yeah. It's wild. And that Ethereum was it's run by, what's that one? The Winklevoss twins own a crypto company, or a security company, and that security company, Gemini, that's what it's called. Gemini runs Ethereum or something like this, right? Or
I don't know. I haven't actually done. I have some money invested in Ethereum, but I have not researched who started it.
Yeah, no.
But I want us to learn this too, because I really think it's the key to like wealth in the future. I just think, especially, what I had mentioned a while back in the chat, how like Tonga could have Tonga tokens, right? And his tokens could be backed by Ethereum. So, when he has people come on, in a break, maybe, part of being a break, they get like rewards with tokens, and ultimately the tokens they can use to buy for stuff. But, the more people that buy into Tonga's brand, those tokens will become worth more. And so each token, maybe it was worth, next to nothing at the beginning, now it becomes worth $1. It's gone up 1,000%. Now you have increased value in his tokens, and his tokens, essentially is how he builds his brand. I just think that's the future. I know it maybe sounds confusing, but but it's real money, and then it's another way of building your brand, as a way in this virtual world.
So is that stock available for purchase now? Meta, do they have a stock for
So
that, or
it would be Facebook, right? It's still
oh,
Facebook. Yeah, so he's going to change the name of it, but Facebook is still that. So, but really, like, so Metaverse though is like not owned by Facebook. That's just the concept, right, within it itself. So Metaverse means virtual reality. Just think about it that way. Think Ready Player One, right? That's just the easiest way for my mind to wrap around it. Is is these virtual worlds. Metaverse is going to be virtual worlds. Now, the idea is, okay, which one's going to be most popular? How do we find and pick that one? Because there's going to be multiple ones out there, right? You want the most popular one. Yeah, multiple virtual worlds. You're going to have different. You already have it, right? You already have, a few different games out there that are open world, virtual world concepts. So which one's going to end up being the most popular? That's what we want to figure out early. That's how we get rich.
Jeez. Well, I'll be right back. I'm going to use the restroom real quick.
Okay.
So how do you figure out which one's gonna be popular?
I think early on we need to figure out which virtual world game is going to blow up, because I think the retail space will piggyback whichever virtual world game is going to be big. I'd imagine whichever one that Facebook comes up with is going to be pretty good. So that's going to be part of it. But who knows? They might not come up with, just the way that he started Facebook and made it big. Somebody can make it that's not tied to anything else. So, we'll have to see. That's all going to be by user choice. There's nothing dominant out there right now where, like, because most people don't know about this. There's a few gamers. Roblox is another virtual world. If you've heard of Roblox.
Yeah.
Let me see.
Like Minecraft and all that.
Yeah, Minecraft would be on a smaller scale. You look at Fortnite is looking into this too. Where they have
what about
a pretty big open world concept already. Remember, they had Travis Scott come on and do a concert in Fortnite, just giving you like ideas, and people bought tickets to go see him in Fortnite virtually, and then he had his avatar in there dancing. So just like, that's how it's starting right there.
Damn. So you ain't gotta leave your house anymore.
I mean, we're literally turning into Ready Player One. Like, yeah. There's going to be people that fight against this, but you just think how the majority of people are going to do this. The majority of people are going to fall into this virtual world. Maybe you'll have, maybe you'll be called Earthers, the people that like to be outside, but there's something outsiders, Earthers. But regardless, I'd like to build some wealth, some generational wealth for my, my future family, and for my current family, and my friends too. If I can do it, I'd like to, right? Yeah. So if we can be early on some of this, and then not have money be a concern, that'd be ideal.
Oh yeah, that was my next question. How can we get invested into this Metaverse?
I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
I don't know. Well, we're early enough, right? Nobody else is talking about this, right? You can say, there's some people on YouTube, but nobody knows about this. Maybe more people will, that, for the few people that, the gaining audience that we have on our podcast, but, they'll be hearing about it. But, something that's just, it's not very clear how to invest. There's some tokens like in altcoins, so altcoins are, if you look at like altcoin crypto, it's the ones that aren't as popular. So when you started your Coinbase account, remember how there was like, you could learn about like Fetch AI, and you could learn about Cosmos. You could learn about a few of the different coins. Mm-hmm. So those are altcoins, like coins that are not as popular. Doge would be like an altcoin too, right? Shiba Inu would be an altcoin. But you have currency tokens within the games that are backed by Ethereum, like I was talking about. So when you have a game, they create a token in there. And so you can invest in some of the tokens, for the games that you think are going to, increase in value. And so the tokens are like an altcoin too, because they have value, right? They're backed by Ethereum. And if the value of that token goes up, you get more Ethereum. And then if you cash out your Ethereum, you got more money. So that's one way to start. The other part is, getting involved with, some of the virtual real estate within these games, owning some of these lands. There's even like casinos in some of these virtual worlds that people are making big money on. So but those they're like worth like 70,000 for like this little plot of land that has a casino in there. There's virtual reality. So they're selling for, decent amount of money already.
Wait, so they're already started selling stuff on the metaverse?
Well, it's within the different games, right? So like there's Roblox, there's Sandlot, there's, so those are games, those are virtual worlds already. And they're already selling stuff within those game worlds, right? So, the key part would be, we need to pay attention to which world's going to be the biggest, and we need to get in early.
Wow. Dang, that's crazy.
Right. So, but it's, the more we talk about it early, the more, just like we've been learning about crypto, and we've been learning about stocks, right?
Yeah.
The more we talk about this early, the better chance we have. Imagine if we had trusted getting in on Bitcoin when it was like $4.
Jeez.
I think we would be rich right now, right? So, that's the concept here. Can we get involved early enough in, investing in the metaverse, whether it be through tokens or, finding, the whichever one we think is going to be the biggest, and just owning virtual land. I know it's a kind of a crazy concept, but that could be the key to owning your real land too.
That's wild. Shit, I'm all for it, man. Let's get in on this. Let's just, what do we have to lose? Especially the cryptocurrency, it's not going away. None of this stuff, the e money or whatever it is, it's not going away. Everything's leaning towards everything being digitized.
With Ethereum too being the backer of this movement, more so than Bitcoin.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be investing in Ethereum. I think Ethereum's going to be a good play. I think it's on the way up now, so maybe it's not the best time to invest now, but the next dip that happens, it'd be smart for a lot of us to go into Ethereum, in my opinion. Again, this is not a recommendation that anybody has to follow. This is just, I don't want to lead anybody down the wrong path, but I think, from the research I'm doing, I think it's going to be a smart play going into the future. Of course, it's risky, right? But so don't invest. Don't invest anything that you can't live without. So, only invest the money that you have extra.
And for people that don't know, you don't have to buy a whole coin. You can invest whatever you have, little by little. If you have $2 or $5, you buy $5 worth of that Ethereum. You can do that little by little. Every paycheck, take $20 out, you can buy into Ethereum.
Right. And there's different ones in there. So like Coinbase and there's the FXT,
FTX.
There's a couple FTX.
Tom Brady's thing.
Yeah. So those ones, the ones that are exclusively crypto, still kind of have a transaction fee. So if you notice you buy any crypto in there, it's like $2 to $3 per transaction. So you probably don't want to buy like $10 and lose $3 of your money. You probably want to buy like 100 or, so save up accordingly. You can buy, there's no transaction fee for crypto on, I think on Robinhood right now. So so you don't have a transaction fee on there. I guess you don't technically own the crypto. It's like held in place for you somehow. I don't know how to describe the legal term for it, but if you're going to buy a little bit here or there, you can kind of get started through Robinhood. I know that's one. I'm not sponsored by them. Then again, this isn't financial advice for anyone to do it, but if you're going to do small amounts, you don't have a transaction fee. The nice thing about Coinbase though is, they give you like, 6 or 7 different tutorials, and they'll give you free crypto. And if that crypto, if you hold that for 5 to 10 years, what if that crypto they gave you for free blew up? You never know, right? You never know what's going to be huge, and that's just free money. You can also stake. You can stake your crypto. You know anything about that?
No. What is that?
So they'll pay you interest for staking your crypto. So you'll take your $100, you can't pull it out, but you know, for a certain amount of time, like Ethereum is transitioning right now to Ethereum 2, which is a way to mine Ethereum for that is less costly to the amount of power it takes. Because, you know, like mining crypto and just making sure the transactions are safe, you know, as they go through the algorithms, there's a cost, like you have to have a high capacity computer to be able to process the transactions. So they're looking at moving Ethereum to Ethereum 2, to my knowledge, to find a way that it's cost less power to process it. So eventually it'll be migrated. So anyways, you stake your Ethereum for Ethereum 2, and they pay you 5% interest, but you can't pull out your, so if you put $100 in there, your $100 is stuck, but they're paying you 5% interest on it. So it's just a way, if you don't need that 100, if you're willing to invest for your future, you know, you can just get, you know, imagine if you got 10 grand, 5% interest on that, and then you're talking, right? So if you can kind of build it, you might as well get paid interest, you know, if you've got extra money on the side.
Yeah, so Coinbase, if you complete the tutorials, you'll get free crypto.
Yeah, they'll give you, you know, there's a bunch of different ones in there. They won't give you free Ethereum or Bitcoin right now. I think they give you some Bitcoin if you refer a friend. I think you get a little bit of Bitcoin there. But the other ones are just some of the altcoins, which are just like less known. But it's kind of cool because it walks you through, you know, it gives you information on like 6 little slides, and then it quizzes you, ask you a question about the slides you just looked at, you know, about what that altcoin was about, you know, what the purpose of that altcoin was. And you get the question right, then they pay you like $1 or $3 or whatever of it. You know, there are different ones in there, but it's definitely worth doing because it's just, you know, that's free money. And again, if that one is one, what if that's the next Ethereum? What if that's the next Bitcoin? If that turns into 10 grand down the road, you know, it's just free money, right? So you might as well go do the tutorials, at least on that. You don't necessarily have to, you know, buy anything else above and beyond it, but take the free money.
Absolutely. Right now I have $6.17 in free money on Coinbase.
Yeah.
From crypto, yeah, from doing the tutorials. And then you click on this little thing, get $10 in Bitcoin. And
if you refer a friend, right?
Yeah. So I'm copying this. I'm gonna share it with my lady, and I'm gonna get $10.
Right. And what if, well, you know, what if Bitcoin, you know, who knows how high it's going to go? Like you know, I've just been watching, you know, just, you know, some people, some pundits, I think they know what they're talking about, that are saying this could go as high as, you know, 120,000. This, you know, maybe this, if it's a bull run, is what they call bull runs, right? Is when the value spikes on it. So they're saying that this could go that high, or could go to 100,000, and then it'll drop again, right? Because you have these big investors putting money into Bitcoin, which drives the price up. You know, and then they're going to sell, right? So it's important to sell when it's high, and not sell when it's low. So you know, you have, you know, these values fluctuate, but ultimately 10 years from now, you know, what if the value goes up even more, right? So I think it's, you know, it's really important though, if you invest in this, you know, this, you know, to make sure that you're buying the dips, you know, buying when they're low, and, you know, you want to sell when it's high, right? You want to hold on too long. So, you know, those are the key parts.
So we talked about cards, right, being another avenue of investments, like to add to your portfolio of making money, increasing your wealth. And so this is another thing that we want to share is crypto. Crypto, getting into crypto, getting into Metaverse. Like, again, we stress on having access to the right information and applying it. So this is another avenue right here. We're not experts at all, but we're seeing the trends, and the trends tend to go up. But just another avenue just to think about, because a lot of people are listening to this, they don't want to do this, right? Some people are like, what the hell are they talking about? Crypto? Why were they even talking about this? That's probably what we got when we first started sharing about cards, how you can make so much money with cards. It's the same type of thing, man. Crypto, everything is moving towards being digitized, meaning it's going to be online. So
Yeah,
Just
I've
another
made
avenue, folks.
almost $3,000 off of Bitcoin alone, of it going up. Just giving you,
Sheesh.
I'm not rich off of it, but that's $3,000 I didn't have before. So from buying low, right? So I bought in when it was, I bought in when it was 30,000 and when it was 35,000, and I was able to, almost double my money now. So, which is great, just the ideas behind it. So, so there's two concepts behind it, right? So you buy the dips and you sell when it's high, but over time, right? Bitcoin used to be worth like $4, and now even on the lows, it's worth 30,000. So there's two ways to invest. There's, you can invest when it's the dip and just hold, right? You just go through the highs and lows, and you're just maybe you'll pull it out 10 years from now, right? So that's like a buy and hold, right? The other concept is to buy low, sell high. So between those two, if you have, who knows if Bitcoin is still going to go up? I think it will, right? Because I think there's a lot of people that love the idea of decentralized, money, right? Not controlled by banks. It's controlled by the people within it. I mean, a lot of people like investing in that idea. So, that's why. And then you have, with Ethereum, you have that backing, a new world of income coming through the metaverse. So you have, the sky's the limit, when it comes to those things. But it's a good idea to be educated, because if you can make money in it, passive income is, something I think all of us have been going over, whether it be through cards, we're trying to up our game through real estate, through wholesaling, through owning properties. A lot of us have goals around that. The cards are an avenue to get there, but this is just that, like you were saying, Notice, that's that another avenue to make money while you sleep, right? So, while you go to sleep, that could appreciate 1,000, right? You don't know, right? So, but you didn't have to do any work to do it, other than you had to invest in it.
Yeah, kind of like I worked on an album one time, and I still get paid on that album that I worked on. Still get every quarter of every year, I get a check for doing actually 2 songs on that album.
Wow.
Not that much money, because it's however many times it plays on the radio or whatever. I guess it's calculated, but I still get a check, man.
Can you tell us what song it is so we can put it on repeat, get you paid?
Shoot. If I knew what song it was, I would be playing it nonstop on like 4 different devices. My computer, my phone, my laptop, my tablet. I would just be playing it. But I did that one work. This is why I believe in passive income, because I did that years ago. That 2 songs I did. Now I get paid on it every quarter for the rest of my life. It goes direct to my American Bank of America account.
That's
It's
awesome.
not that much money. It's like $30 sometimes. Sometimes it's $60.
The concept,
sometimes
though, right?
Yeah, it changes. The amount changes every quarter, but based on how many plays it gets. But $32 here, $40 here, $60 here. It's nice. It's
Coach.
nice when it. What's up, Coach?
What's up, y'all?
Oh, not much.
Sorry I hopped in so late, man.
Oh, you're good. We're just chatting away, man.
I got some poly neighbors that's just moved in up the street.
Oh, really? Yeah?
Yeah, so here on the street, they just built those new homes. And it's Tony Finau's family.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. Yeah. So they just moved in. It's just up the street. They bought one of these little big homes over here. And they came by, bro, knocked on the door, was like, "Hey, what's up, neighbors?" I was like, "Oh, shoot." They just left.
Oh, right on. I like that shirt.
Yeah, what's up with that shirt, though?
Clean. Woo!
That, though.
Oh, you ain't got no new hat. Jeez. Hey.
When you guys are ready for... When you guys are ready for an offer package, don't worry. Merry Christmas here pretty soon.
3X, Coach. 3X for me, please.
I got you. Now I'm gonna just send you a 2X to motivate you. So you'll be like, dang, I can't even wear this right now.
Yeah, I need to get on Chippendale Island Heat level, man. Oh man, you didn't just show up on the podcast with a new gear. Jeez.
I had to showcase it, make sure we, if everybody approves, then Merry Christmas.
Whoo.
Man, that's clean.
More than approved, man. So we got a Texas visit. When are we gonna do the Utah visit?
Yes.
Never. Whenever you're ready. Come on down.
Text like, don't come.
And so about Texas, y'all, I don't think we'll be able to make. I mean, we'll be able to make it, but they're canceling so many flights, bro. It's a iffy thing to go down for December 10th. American Airlines is not the airlines to fly right now, man.
Who's the airline to fly?
Southwest, Delta. I would try to avoid flying if it's the cheapest flight you got, confirmed seat, you find a cheap ticket on American, and that's the best. Just go ahead and take it, but just be advised, your flight could cancel because of the not enough crews.
What about Delta?
Being able to fill the slot. Delta's solid. They're solid now. Southwest, maybe, I don't know. Sometimes they have some, but yeah, definitely try to stay away from American if you can.
Okay.
I thought it was Southwest and American Airlines that were having trouble with canceled flights.
Well, I don't know. Well, they just passed. They just did this $1,000 incentive program for American for if you work from November 15th to January 2nd without missing a day, like you have perfect attendance for the scheduled hours you have, you'll get $1,000 bonus. So I think they're trying to make that like so that flight attendants and pilots can work,
But don't they have like hours?
They have hours, yeah.
That they gotta abide by.
Yeah, they have the the federal mandated hours or whatever FAA hours that they have to abide by. But I don't know. We'll see. But like just my shift alone for this past week, there was 10 flights canceled on just my shift for this past week.
In 1
That's
week?
just come. Yeah, in 1 week, man. 10 flights. One day there's 3 flights canceled.
Ooh.
On one day. And I work the hours where all the shit hits the fan too. So I have to deal with all those canceled flights, man.
What do you mean by you have to deal with those flights? Do you have to deal with the customers?
No, I don't have to deal with customers, but I have to facilitate between the ground crew and the flight or the above wing crew and everyone in between, the fuelers, the people that clean. So I'm not just sitting there anymore. Yeah. I have to let them all know that these flights are canceled, and then they cuss me out for canceling, like I don't control these planes being canceled, Jeez, but yeah, just try to avoid flying on American for a while, maybe until after the holidays are done. That's for flights locally in the US. The international flights, those are probably have more chance of getting on those flights without canceling. But the local flights here in the US, I'll try to avoid us flying on American. But yeah, anyways, what were you talking about before I started ranting on that?
Talking about Coach's new gear.
Oh yeah.
What's up with the new gear?
Bro, you can't just pop on here without forewarning us, you know what I'm saying?
Gear and then leave.
A sponsor can do what he wants, right?
There you go.
Speaking of that, we need to make that NFT of this picture right here.
Or we need to make some so what is the how can we do that? And because I know Joe said he was looking into it, but never heard back from him.
My brother's looking into NFTs.
I don't know anything about NFTs other than I know that they're a big part of the metaverse, right? Because
the
pictures have value within it. It's like it can be valuable in the game. You can be valuable owning like different pictures and stuff. So if we can just start making our own pictures and doing it, I'll try and find out more about it. But NFTs is like, it's been hard for me to figure out. But it has a big play in this next step with what we were talking about earlier.
So my brother's looking into the NFT, and he was I got him into the card game from Tonga, and he's starting to get into it, and he's starting to talk with Tonga like all these one of one cards that he pull, we should make an NFT with that.
Yeah.
Because he was saying that you could probably make more money making an NFT than just selling it outright.
Right. Right. And this is what I was thinking too. Like, this is how the NFT is going to tie into the virtual world is, a lot of people are going to want digital collections. And so, people can show off their digital collection, and buy and sell that, so you can have a one-on-one real world one and a one-of-one virtual reality card as well, digital card, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, if Tonga's smart, like get double the sales, right? Because you've got a virtual card in a real card. So just think about doubling your money there, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Or if it's 1/3 the cost, I don't know. I think ultimately digital will probably be the same cost as real world stuff. Maybe not off the bat, but
eventually it'll
be
big,
So how do we do you know how how do we take the real card and make it NFT?
Well, he sent, because we have a group chat together with Tonga about cards, and then so my brother sent him some a website where he can create NFTs for the card.
Let's do it. I mean, that's where everything's headed.
Yeah.
That's another avenue of some income right there. And if you make it, the time spent in there, there's NFTs that are selling for 70, 80 grand.
Yeah, exactly.
Ridiculous.
Right?
That's
and
ridiculous.
my brother's brand is Bidbird, as you can see on my hat. But that's what he's trying to do to create his NFT.
That's dope.
But yeah, he's doing a lot of research about NFT because he truly believes that that's where it's going to head into, is this NFT.
Oh yeah, absolutely, man.
But I still have no clue what NFT means or what it is. From what I understand, what I think I understand, is this like it's kind of like the stock market. You create something, and then like people invest into it, I guess, buy into it, or something like that.
NFT stands for non-fungible token. Whatever that means, I don't know what that means. I still don't know. What the hell does that mean?
So going back to like tokens, right? A token can belong to something, right? But for example, though, let's give real world example of it. A video clip of Jordan dunking, that's like 3 seconds long, right? That can be an NFT. So that gives you like an idea of the real world concept. It's going to go more virtual though, but just giving you an idea of, it could be a video clip, it could be a picture, it can be, but it's a digital, it's a digital picture or video of something.
This was like a couple months ago. I seen a lot of people buying like video clips of like people dunking. Maybe it's Jordan or Dominic Wilkins.
Right.
I seen people like buying, and it wasn't like cheap. It was like in the thousands,
Yeah.
Buying videos of, and I'm like thinking to myself, like, why are they buying this? You can watch this stuff on YouTube.
Well, ultimately, I think you're not going to be able to watch it on YouTube once it's your NFT. So they're not going to be able to show the clip of that because you own it without having to pay you.
Oh, okay.
Here's a thing from Gary Vee. He talking about NFTs.
NFTs are more dangerous than Napster, than SoundCloud, than TikTok, because the record labels always had the fact that they were the funding mechanism of the artist. Now you get big on TikTok and SoundCloud and you sell NFTs to your audience, you can raise $5 million overnight and you can keep 80% instead of giving up 80%. Nice. And then you know how good it feels when you pop off that the fucking people that believed in you the most are the ones that are getting money every time you Spotify? Because 90% of artists don't feel great about the company making the money. And now the people that are gonna make money besides the artists are the earliest fans who believed in the artist. So the fans are gonna become the record label, not the record label.
I was talking about the music industry.
So that's it's a decentralized concept, right? You see kind of what, like how all like crypto, NFTs, a lot of this stuff is aligning, right? It's you're not having the one label have the power. You're having individuals, like that's a great example he gave there. Let's say there's a 45-second clip of a new song, or a freestyle that comes out and you own that, that could become super valuable later.
Well, just like you were saying with crypto, it won't be like the banks own the money. It'll be like the people all together take control of currency,
Right. Or let's say, Notice you come up with like, a new set of chords, right? A certain way. You can NFT that. And then,
for real?
Yeah.
That might be that might be one of our, like, through the card game and the music game, especially UTech too, that might be our way in initially, is, through some music stuff.
Yeah, that could be, because these TikTok 30 seconds, 1 minute videos, you could NFT a little sound bit, 1 minute sound bit. And if it goes viral, on TikTok, people start using it, could make money, man.
Right.
That's wild. Yeah, let's get into it. Let's make NFT for the encouragers, man.
And that's what my brother was telling Tonga. Is like, why would you sell your one-of-one card for a certain amount of price when you can just create an NFT and then, like, I don't know what he was saying, but he was saying like you can make more money creating an NFT for your one-of-one card versus just selling it outright in the long run.
Right. Or let's say it drops and somebody bought in, like, let's say, you bought in tech and you got the one of one, you picked the Warriors and you got the one of one that's worth that, right?
Mm-hmm.
But then he could also NFT it before he sends it out to you.
Yeah.
Right. So then he's, you're fine because you just cashed in on the one of one, and he still had
paid
that
$50.
Right. And then, Tonga makes his part for taking the risk on buying the pack, but then he also wins on the NFT. Or he can turn around and sell you the NFT too, right?
Yeah.
So you would own both, maybe. There's
it's something to definitely look into, because
right. There's a lot of options.
I think that's where everything is headed to, is all virtual.
I wonder though, has it been discussed with these companies? Do they own the virtual rights of the card too?
I don't know.
It's a good question. I don't even know if like the lawyers will know that yet.
Because I've noticed, like, in the past, I think about a year ago, that so there's a company called Panini. They're like, they make the majority of the cards.
Right.
And I think it was last year, the year of like Zion Williamson and John Morant when they were rookies.
Mm-hmm.
That's when they started coming out with these blockchain cards, which is just digital cards. Like, you don't have it, but you have it virtually. And they started coming out with these digital cards that you can actually own, and then
But if
that you can actually trade and sell.
right, but if you make the one of one NFT, I don't see how they have the rights to it. So I think it would be you because you're making it, right? You're making it somehow. You know, you're making the image however you're making it. You know, you're using like computer software to make it, right? So
Wait, so you're saying that you could alter that card to make it whatever you want?
right. Well, I mean, even if you digitize it, it's still different.
Yeah.
So, but you know, but you'd want to make, you know, I just wonder how copyright would play into it.
Well,
Like,
the Panini cards were actually making them.
right, right. But once you make your digital copy of it, is that yours? You know, it's a good, that's the good question to ask. Or do you make an alteration of it? You know, so, but the thing is though, like if you take a picture of a card, you own that. Like, you know, they don't own the picture. You know, so if you took a picture of a card on your phone, right, or video of it, nobody else owns that. So you own it. So I think you're safe, but it's worth exploring to find out. Especially if you sell it for money later.
Yeah.
I don't think there's an answer yet on that. I don't think it's been explored, to my knowledge at least, but you know, I'm no expert on it.
Well, if it's untouched ground, I think that's something we need to look into.
That's the ground we need to touch.
That's the ground we need to touch, bro.
Where's
That's
the
our
bottom,
way-
the
that's
bottom
our
spirit
way-
fingers?
Yeah. That's our way into this virtual reality world.
Right, right.
Jeez, let's go, man.
Isn't it fascinating? I love
Yeah.
stuff that I like don't know very much about, but then the possibility is endless to learn. I like that.
Yeah, it's gonna be crazy, man. Just the thought of living in a virtual world. You can create your own avatar, create your own world. Imagine playing Call of Duty in a virtual world, you know?
Right. Like you know, if you get into a suit and you're like
Yeah.
feeling getting hit.
Getting shot.
Yeah. I mean, that's for real coming. That's like
Yeah.
they're working on that. They're working on it now. So it's just, you know, is the virtual technology there yet? 5G is a big part of that. You know, getting 5G up and running everywhere is huge because, you know, you're looking at really low latency. So you're talking about like 2 gig per second speed, sometimes faster, right? So that's a movie download, you know, in a second, you know, in 2 seconds. So if you're
movie?
thinking, yeah, because 2 gigs per second speed,
Oh yeah,
you know,
that's fast.
yeah, you're talking, and even like 5G, you know, has been shown to go like 6 gig per second. But you just think like you put people on a network, you know, when 5G is everywhere, that's really when virtual reality is going to take off because then you're not restricted by internet speed. Then you're not as restricted by quality of video, right? Because you can put a high quality, you know, 4K video in place when you're running 2 gig per second. You know, we're running that kind of speed.
Dang.
So, you know, because they thought for a long time fiber would be the key, but I think it's going to be 5G because 5G runs faster than fiber does.
Yeah,
So
I
my
know
question, I
I know
have
nothing about
a
that.
question.
Yeah.
Do we have to go this well? Do we have to start digitizing currency? Do we have to go to virtual metaverse space? Like, why why are we doing this? To make life easier? Or is it because we have the technology now?
I don't think we have to. I think that's just the way things are going right now.
I know, but
Everything,
why are they doing it?
everything's just going digital.
I mean, look at it from like a microcosm. Notice where you have, you know, people do rather than driving out to the store and then, you know, bringing food home and cooking. Let's even back up farther. Rather than having your own farm with your own livestock and your own vegetables, people would rather shop at a grocery store and bring it home. And now people would rather Uber Eats their food to their house. So you just think we've been going this way for a while. This is just the next step in its unlimited income potential from it. So, the people that have the money want this to happen. What we do with it, and how you live your life around this, that's going to be, because your point there, like, is it good for society? It's all going to depend on how the individual responds to this. Is it good to spend your life in a virtual world? I think not. But I will try and gain some generational wealth through this with with what I'm learning, in order to have my own farm or ranch or my own Yellowstone or whatever.
So are you saying, when you put it like that, are you saying was COVID the active ingredient to get everything set, like moving towards this way? Because you know what I'm saying? Was COVID the match that ignited everything to move this way? If you look at it, what happened during this pandemic? We were all locked down. People started developing in their own ways to create money. Next thing you know, these NFTs start popping up, cryptos getting heavier. Was COVID the precipice, the start button to get everything moving, trending this way?
I need to put my my conspiracy hat on, but before I go into this, but so it's a good point. I think it's more like they're taking advantage of the opportunity presented in front, because it was inevitable to begin with, because before COVID, you already saw, this world being built out, right? But I think they looked at it, the people that had some decisions with this, and they looked at it as ideal, as a whole nother avenue to build wealth. So it's it's where we're going. We've been making movies about this happening for years. So it's not like it's a new idea. It's just now the technology matches it. Is it a healthy thing for the society? I think there's healthy aspects of it, right? Because let me give you an example. Let's say you have the best surgeon in the world, best brain surgeon in the world, and he's in New York City, right? And somebody goes into an accident in Oregon, and they need, there's not somebody that could do this one specific surgery to save their life except for that one surgeon in New York City. So, virtually, if he can, hack into like 5G, which is fast enough to operate a robotic arm that can save their life, and he's the one person that can do it, I could see that advantage there, right? You could save somebody's life through some of these advancements in technology. But somebody that's antisocial, that is a guy and then pretends to be somebody else in a virtual world and spends their whole life in the virtual world, I could see that being a negative thing, if you follow me there. So it's what could you make of it? I think you could make some great positivity out of it. You could also make negativity out of it. Just depends on how you act in there, and then that space.
My only worry is there's going to be people out there that's going to manipulate this thing.
For sure.
They're going to use it to manipulate and take advantage of others.
Yeah,
always.
That's life in general, though.
Yeah.
Not that that's an excuse, but if you go into expecting that to happen, prepare yourself, right? To me, I don't know. I see the advantage of like the virtual world. I think it could be fun, but is there any better feeling than like standing, on the beach, in the sun with the ocean breeze, hearing the gulls cry, and just being out in the, I don't know if you can't replace that. To me, that you couldn't replace that of having my own, but maybe this virtual world is going to try, but they're, we're a long way off from that, right? From replacing that. Have you guys heard of the many world theory?
No, what is that one? Never heard of it.
Or not the many world theory. It's the simulation theory.
No, I haven't. I've heard something about simulation. know a little bit
So
about it.
it's you know, it's along the matrix lines. Like it's that, you know, so we're driving towards like this virtual world, right? So there's a lot of people that believe that we're already in a simulation, like we're already in a virtual world now. And so there's a lot of people that talk about it, whether or not we're there. You know, a lot of scientists believe that we are in a simulation already. You know, some of the scientists that push back are, you know, so part of being in a simulation world would be creating a simulation world. And to me, you know, of course I have other beliefs behind it, but if we're just simply sticking to the topic here, I don't think we're in a simulation world just because we can't create one that's indistinguishable from you know, from this life now. So as good as virtual reality is, it's not good enough for me to think that that's also real life. You follow me there? We're not good enough to make a virtual world that is indistinguishable from real life yet. So to me, we're not in a simulation, because part of being a simulation society would be that you would be good enough to make one that is also a simulation indistinguishable from your simulation. We're not there. We're not good enough. We can't create that. So you know, the argument that people that are behind it are, well, that's part of the process, is slow progress towards it. But you have people, you know, scientists, mathematicians that are on, you know, different sides here on what they believe. Just an interesting concept, you know, to think about.
How far will we go with this? What is the limitations that will draw man to say, okay, we got to stop here. This is a little bit too much. This whole meta thing is probably a little bit too much now. Let's dial it back a little. How far? Who is the one? Who's going to control this? How far is it going to go? You know what I mean? How far and how safe or safe or potential dangerous are we going to let this thing go before we say enough is enough?
So human beings don't have much self-control as a whole. So
I mean,
they're going to take it as far as they can go without some sort of intervention, right? So, you know, you look at, you know, the fears of artificial intelligence, right? Like we've been making movies about that for years too, right?
well, now they have those dogs and those robots that can actually do that now. I mean, how far? Yeah.
With a sniper on it. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you know, at what point would they make the leap? You know, who knows? Like, you know, it looks like that, you know, they're going to experiment as far as science will let them, because, you know, it's just some people, you know, they don't see when they should stop. You know, Elon had a really big fear of, you know, he wanted to set some rules. He went to Congress a few times to request that we set parameters, because, you know, his way of forward thinking, I think he was ahead of everybody else, right? That's a different human being right there. His brain works differently, I think, than the majority of us, than maybe all of us. And so he saw the dangers in it, you know, in, you know, creating an artificial intelligence. You know, if it becomes sentient enough, you know, of course, we have like the Terminator. We have all these movies out there where, you know, they eliminate us, right? Because they see that we are the destroyers of the planet. So they, you know, so if you ask like where to stop, I don't think we ever will. But will we evolve to the point where we can start making decisions that don't destroy us or the world or the society around it? You know, that's the question there. I think as long as we have morals and moral guidance, you know, and, you know, we can distinguish between right and wrong and good and evil, I think that will course correct, right? But I think as long as you have people without those morals, you know, they're going to continue to push as far as they can.
Like,
so
who's telling Mark Zuckerberg like how far he can go with this meta thing? Like, you know what I mean? He wants to create the freaking matrix, basically. Like, who's gonna be in there to stop him to do something like this? And you didn't you share something with Elon about in the chat?
Yeah.
I'm gonna pull that up. I'm gonna pull that up here. But yeah, it's just weird that if we were talking like this, 6 or 7 years ago, we would not even be thinking about all this stuff, man.
Right.
Now,
Elon is like the anti-Zuckerberg, because Zuckerberg wants to control everything, in my opinion, and He likes the control. He wants to be in charge of this virtual transition, hence the name change. He wants to rule here on Earth. Elon wants our species to survive, seems to be a very caring person, and he seems like the way for us to survive is to become multi-planet species. That's how he sees us surviving. That's why SpaceX, he puts so much money into that, because the first step in us surviving is to become a multi-planet species. That's his like #1 goal. That's why he's created all these other things, is he wants us to be a multi-planet, a multi-planet species.
Dude, that clip about him opening up about aliens.
I wonder how many dead one planet.
That's wild, bro. That stuff just. Do you guys want to listen to that real quick? What he talks about that?
Sure.
Have you heard of it, Tech?
No, I didn't get a chance to listen to it.
Oh man, dude, this is gonna blow your mind, man. So this is Elon Musk. He's doing an interview and he's talking about aliens.
I wonder how many dead one planet civilizations there are out there in the cosmos. Maybe they're among us. I don't know. Yes, it's funny. The universe appears to be 13.8 billion years old. Earth like 4.5 billion years.
Is this too loud? Is the audio okay?
It's good.
Okay.
So, in another 500 million years or so, the sun will expand and probably evaporate the oceans and make life impossible on Earth. Which means that if it had taken consciousness 10% longer to evolve, it would never have evolved at all. But I think this is one of the great questions in physics and philosophy, is where are the aliens? Maybe they're among us, I don't know.
Do you think we'll make contact with aliens within the next 50 years?
Well, that's a really tough one to say. So, what it suggests is there's this great question, it's called the Fermi paradox. Like, where are the aliens? Like, if there are so many planets out there and the universe is almost 14 billion years old, why aren't the aliens everywhere? And this is one of the most perplexing questions. If there are super intelligent aliens out there, they're probably already observing us. That would seem quite likely, and we just are not smart enough to realize it. Any advanced alien civilization that was at all interested in populating the galaxy, even without exceeding the speed of light, even if you're only moving at, say, 10 or 20% of the speed of light, you could populate the entire galaxy in, let's say, 10 million years. Maybe 20 million years max. This is nothing, in the grand scheme of things. What are the important steps in the evolution of life? How do you decide that anything is important? I think the lens of history is a helpful guide here. Over time, things that are less important kind of fall away. What are the most important elements in the history of life itself? What would any intelligent species say, oh, those were really important items? Well, there's obviously single-celled life, multicellular life, plants and animals. The animals, things going out of the ocean onto land, advent of mammals, consciousness. There's about maybe 10 or so big ones on that list. And on that list will also fit the extension of life to multiple planets for the first time. Extending life to another planet is a huge quantum leap. You have to go hundreds of millions of miles across an extremely hostile environment to a planet which is completely unlike anything you've evolved to live on. And that's just really an extremely difficult problem. In fact, I think it's an impossible problem without the advent of consciousness. So consciousness is a necessary precursor for that. Consciousness, it's the next step, actually, because you really kind of need consciousness to design vehicles that can transport life over hundreds of millions of miles of irradiated space to an environment that they did not evolve to exist in. Basically, if it took an extra 10% longer for conscious life to evolve on Earth, it wouldn't evolve at all, because it would have been incinerated by the sun. It appears that consciousness is a very rare and precious thing, and we should take whatever steps we can to preserve the light of consciousness. And the window has been open. Only now, after 4.5 billion years, is that window open. There's a long time to wait, and it might not stay open for long. I'm pretty optimistic by nature, but there's some chance that window will not be open for long. And I think we should become a multi-planet civilization while that window is open. And we should do it now. Thank you. Thank you.
Wow, man. This guy's different, dude.
Right?
He's
He's wired different.
Dang.
I wonder how much he thinks about, you just look at like creation and, you know, he's talking about if we took 10% longer to evolve consciousness, you know, we wouldn't exist. You'd think that they would start lining up all the little things that had to happen for, you know, for us to be here, that there was a hand in creation, that it was designed that way. You know, without to dive too much into that, you know, you'd think that a lot of these smart minds would start to look towards an architect, you know, a creator of sorts. I don't mean to dive down that too much, but, you know, you definitely think, you know, a thinking being that can breathe air, you know, the biology is insane. We've got nanoparticles and smaller particles and quarks, you know, and little tiny things out there, and you know, everything works in conjunction. We don't die, you know, breathing in oxygen. There's so many things in place, and the diversity of creation of all the animals out there, just amazing, you know, that everything is the way it is, that life itself exists. It seems to me it is very it's a lot of pride involved in thinking that it all happened by accident.
Yeah, it's super complex. If you ever been camping out in the woods or whatever, and you look up and you're nowhere out near the city, and you look up and you see the stars at night, man, it's just, you can't even help but think like there's something going on, man. There's
Right. And
there's
you
something
know,
higher than
just going out there, you know, so why haven't we, you know, if Elon's point, right? You know, if life is common, you know, they should have already spread out through the galaxy already.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we've been around, what do you say, how long we've been? 5 billion years we've been around,
something like that. Yeah.
he's saying 20 million years to spread out through the galaxy at the longest.
Right.
So why haven't we been, or are we being contacted?
Yeah, it's wild, dude. That's crazy, man.
The alien podcast is for another podcast, though.
Yeah, it is. There's so much going on. There's so much going on. It's just funny how the government now wants to talk about aliens now. Now they're disclosing, yeah, there are orbs and stuff flying out there. They can't cover it up. But then again, you wonder why they even come out and talk about it.
Is it a sleight of hand?
I don't know, man. I've heard some crazy things back in my days.
Are they getting us to try, hey, look over here, because they're doing something else? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy. But yeah, a lot of great nuggets tonight on this episode. Thanks for coming down the rabbit hole with us a little briefly. But yeah, crypto, invest in that. Ethereum is good.
Metaverse.
Metaverse, man, just NFTs, just a lot going on, man. It just boggles my mind that we're here now and we're actually talking about these things, virtual spaces being a reality. That just boggles my mind.
Right. Yeah, right. But we're coming to these podcasters in a virtual way too. So, you
That's
know,
true.
in a way, it's already existing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. A lot of great things. That's a great point that you brought up, the metaverse, that we actually kind of get a grasp on it before things get too out of hand or whatnot, or at least that we can get into it. They're talking about, I seen the thing just recently, just while we were talking, that it's going to be $1 trillion investment. That's crazy, man.
Right. Everything that I'm kind of hearing is the next set of millionaires and billionaires can be built through, being in the right place at the right time as this builds out. So I would like to be one of those.
Right. Yep. At first, I remember about hearing cryptocurrency. I thought it was a wild, crazy thing to talk about. Now it's like it's the norm. Now it's getting to be more and more mainstream, more and more the thought process, more and more, accepted.
Right. We were just a little too late to not be able to make money, because we can make money in it, right? But to make it huge, it's just, again, like I was saying, you imagine if you had invested, in $4, if you had bought a few thousand of $4 Bitcoins a few years back, you'd be a millionaire.
Well, Jake, keep looking at the trends and let us know when we should buy the $4 versus $4 worth of Metaverse, man, so we can get it going, bro.
Right.
Yeah,
I'll try my best.
Yeah, and NFTs too. If you can look into NFTs, Joe, we need to hit Joe back up about that. He said he was trying to build an NFT in the chat. Maybe you should follow up on the chat about that.
Yeah, definitely. And text brother.
Oh yeah. We'll go ahead and wrap this up. Thanks, Jake, Tech, Coach, Tonga, for jumping on tonight's podcast. So we sign out. Jake's taking a last cup or another cup. Yes. Office Kava.
New sponsor
coming on. Right on, brother. Well, I'm gonna go ahead and end this, and you guys, everybody, thank you for listening. This is Jake. I'm Notis, signing out.